Hello and welcome to another episode of Your World. This week with me, Adrian Aryokusumo, and let's begin with our first segment from Indonesia. This week, Indonesians mark a significant moment in the democracy by actively engaging in the highly anticipated general elections, demonstrating their love for the country by casting their votes for the next leaders for the states. And now let's explore about Indonesia elections further in our first segment.
Today is the 14th of February 2024, and as the rest of the world is celebrating Valentine's Day, Indonesians are showing their love for their country, as today is the much awaited day for the general election 2024, the simultaneous election for presidential, vice presidential, and also legislative representatives. Now, of course, this is seen as one of the biggest undertaking in the global democracy. This is actually the biggest one-day democratic election in the world. It is an enormous undertaking, with Indonesia being the biggest archipelago in the world, the third biggest democracy, with more than 200 million registered voters and 800,000 polling stations across Indonesia. Now, right now, I am at one of those polling stations right here at TPS 10 at Central Jakarta. What makes this particular polling station significant, this was the polling station of President Joko Widodo and First Lady Iriana, because they are also registered voters here. Now, we got to witness as they arrive here at the TPS. Everybody was visibly exhilarated to welcome the president, as this is actually his last election as president, as he is about to pass the baton to the future leaders of Indonesia once the election is concluded. But of course, there is still a long way to go. Today is election day, where the people of Indonesia gets to choose the top job for the executive branch and also all legislative branch. There's actually quite a lot of names to choose from, especially in the legislative representatives area. There are 20,000 seats for grabs in the parliament. So there is slight trepidation that the people will be taking their time in the voting booths to choose between all the myriad of names and candidates to choose from to be their representatives in the parliament. But so far, what we've been seeing, since it is opened at 7:30 a.m. this morning, the atmosphere is really cordial, really jovial, and even celebratory at moments, as groups of Indonesians, groups of families and friends come to vote together as a group, taking pictures, taking selfies, celebrating and commemorating this milestone in the democratic journey of Indonesia. I'm going to tell you a little bit of what happened when President Joko Widodo and First Lady Iriana came to the polling station. They did their part as responsible citizens of Indonesia. They practiced their constitutional rights. It didn't take them too long in the voting booth, I can tell you that much. All around in total, the President and the First Lady spent around 20 minutes here at TPS 10. They were called out by name by the TPS officials, and they went straight to the voting booth. And then we all witnessed the President and the First Lady putting in the ballots into the box and then dipping their fingers into the ink, an election tradition of Indonesia, as a proof that you have voted, and also actually a mean to suppress voter fraud. After that, the president didn't talk very much to the media, although the media was understandably very interested to get a few comments from the president about who he voted for and just his general take on the election. The president then made a statement that he hopes this election will go according to plan, in order. It will go fair for all Indonesian, and that everything can be done in the best interest of the country. And he said that he hopes all Indonesians in this happy occasion can be happy and enjoy their privilege to be able to choose their future leaders and can actually have fun on this milestone of our democratic journey in global democracy. Now, I can tell you so much that there's actually a lot of international media presence as well here at TPS 10, which shows that there's a lot of interest from the international community. Again, as I told you, this is the biggest one-day election ever in the world, and there's a lot of stake. Indonesia is seen as the leader of the region, so how the future leaders will conduct themselves will have repercussion and influence in the region, if not even globally. So now it's around 9:46 a.m. The voting stations will be open until 1 p.m. And that is the regulation for all the polling stations in Indonesia. Everybody is, of course, encouraged to vote. Everybody should practice their constitutional right and do their parts as responsible citizens. And hopefully we can get a good turnout. As always, Indonesians are always eager to come down to the voting booth, and we will see how the election will turn out. Now, mind you, today, the 14th of February 2024, is not actually the finish line of this long marathon of an election, because the official numbers will not be released until 20th of March 2024. And then we will see if we have another round of election or not. Either way, the swearing in of the new elected officials will happen in October 2024. So still a long way to go, and for sure we'll keep you updated on everything that is election related right here on TVRI World. I'm Siska Becker together with camera person Arya Tanu, reporting live from Gambir Central, Jakarta, TPS 10 for the Indonesian general election, only on TVRI World.
Candidate pair number 1, Anies Baswedan and Muhaimin Iskandar, will cast their vote in 2 different locations. Anies will vote at the polling stations in Lebak Bulus, South Jakarta, while Muhaimin, or popularly known as Caimin, will vote at Kemang, South Jakarta. Candidate pair number 2, Prabowo Subianto, will vote at his residence area in Hambalang, Bogor Regency, West Java, while his running mate, Gibran Rakabuming Raka, will vote at the polling station 34 at Manahan Urban Village, Solo, Central Java. Candidate pair number 3, Ganjar Pranowo, will vote at the polling station 11, Lempong Sari Urban Village, Gajah Mungkur Subdistrict, Semarang City, Central Java. Meanwhile, his running mate, Mahfud MD, will vote in Sambilegi, Sleman, Yogyakarta. Day before voting day, the Bandung General Elections Commission have set up ballot station in a number of locations that the World Parliament delegate members will be visiting and witnessing the voting process. The World Parliament members represented 30 countries. One of the many poll stations that the World Parliament members visited was ballot station number 19 and 20, located at Balai Banjarteba in Jimbran, ballot station number 29 in Unggasan, and poll station number 24 to 26, located in Banjar Mumbul, Nusa Dua. It is at these locations World Parliament members will also witness the vote counting process once voting completes. Head of Bandung KPU, I Gusti Ketut Yusa Arsana Putra, said Bandung KPU together with poll station organizing committee have made a number of preparations long before the voting day took place. Among the many preparations made were having poll station number 19, where all poll committee members are women. Head of Bandung KPU added, Bandung KPU has tried its best to prepare poll stations as well as possible. World Parliament delegate members visited poll stations at 6 a.m. local time and inspected all preparations that have been made. The voting process itself started at 7 a.m. local time. Poll station number 26 in Banjar, Tunjung Sari, Paguyungan, Kangin, Denpasar came up with something creative and make it look different from other ballot stations. The ballot station is decorated in pink color, starting from pin balloons to decorations in the shape of hearts. as today's voting day also fell at the same day of Valentine's Day. Not only to create a festive ambience for the 2024 general elections, the idea was also to help attract more voters to cast their votes. The election organizing member also provided free chocolate bars for the first 100 voters who came to the poll station and casted their votes. Residents and also youth worked together to create a unique pinkish color poll station 2 days before voting day. The poll station was completed decorated in full pink on Monday night, and it did for sure attracted any eye that sees.
Head of Security Maintenance Board of the National Police Commissioner General Fadil Imran told the press in Jakarta on Monday that elections process in foreign countries had been going well. Fadil, who also leads a national security operation for elections called Mantap Brata 2024, says Hong Kong and Taipei in Taiwan are two territories left where voting has yet to be done. He says that election in Hong Kong and Taipei will take place today and tomorrow. National police data shows that there are more than 1.75 million voters living in 128 countries, comprising about 750,000 men and 900,000 women. Meanwhile, the number of overseas polling stations, door-to-door ballot boxes, and postal ballots reached 3,059. The police has added 111 security personnel to secure elections in 7 countries and territories, namely Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, the Netherlands, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, and Australia. Malaysia has polling stations in 6 areas, while the rest are spread in 6 other countries. The 6 areas in Malaysia are Kuala Lumpur, Johor Bahru, Kinabalu, Tawau, Penang, and Kuching. Meanwhile, the other 6 are Singapore, Taipei, Hong Kong, Sydney, Jeddah, and Den Haag.
Israel has escalated its airstrike in the densely populated city in Rafah, in southern Gaza, where over 1.4 million displaced Palestinians seeking refuge. Meanwhile, in the West Bank, there is a surge of violence, arrests, and restriction on movement, exacerbating hunger among the populations. In a harrowing turn of events, Israel has heightened its bombardment in the densely populated city of Rafah in the southern Gaza, where more than 1.4 million displaced Palestinians seek refuge. The pre-dawn strikes on Monday resulted in devastating toll, with over 100 people killed and hundreds more injured, as reported by CGTN correspondent. This onslaught comes as over a half of Gaza's 2.3 million population is concentrated in Rafah, originally home of 250,000 people before the conflict erupted in October 2023. The city now grapples with overcrowded makeshift shelters and tents, with residents facing dire conditions, including limited access to safe drinking water and food. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's steadfast commitment to the offensive raises concerns about the potential for a ground campaign in Rafah, further exacerbating the risk of civilians trapped in the sprawling tent city. The death toll from the ongoing Israel and Hamas conflict has now surpassed 28,340, with 67,984 others reported injured, according to the health ministry in the Hamas-run territory. More than 1 million displaced Gazans search for food and water in Rafah. Footage filmed in Rafah shows the desperate condition in which more than 1 million Palestinians are living, scavenging through rubbish for food, chasing some drinking water, and many have suffered with 4th or 5th displacement and are now anxiously waiting to see what will happen to their life if Israel launched a ground operation on Rafah. According to Israel, the war was triggered by the Palestinian Islamist group Hamas, who invaded southern Israel on October 7, killing 1,200 people and abducting 253. Then, according to local health official, vowing to destroy Hamas and free the hostages, Israel has responded with an all-out military assault on Gaza that has killed more than 27,000 people. Fear and panic grip Palestinians sheltering in Rafah as hostilities expand in a densely packed area supposed to provide a safe refuge for over 1.5 million people. The aftermath of the recent violence in Rafah is captured in various external shots, revealing the destruction wrought upon the community. Displaced individuals recount the harrowing experiences of sleepless nights amidst gunfire and shelling, prompting them to seek refuge in a school, leaving behind them the belongings. The World Health Organization or WHO said, people are already living in unimaginable conditions and there is no safe zones in Gaza. According to the WHO, the new wave of displacement and additional injuries will have a catastrophic impact on the people's health and mental well-being, and increase the trauma burden on the already ailing health system, pushing it closer to the brink of collapse. Living conditions in the makeshift camp are dire, with one displaced man describing the night as terrible and filled with terror, unsure of where to turn. A distressed displaced woman appeals for consideration for the children, highlighting the fragmented families and injuries suffered. The West Bank is grappling with a dire situation marked by escalating violence, widespread arrests, and heightened movement restrictions, exacerbating hunger and economic woes. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are losing their work permits, trapping them within the West Bank, while internal commercial activities faces severe limitations. The increased Israeli military presence, accompanied by movement restriction and additional checkpoints, hampers the mobility of the populations, adversely affecting the economy. Food insecurity has risen sharply, with preliminary assessment indicating an increase from 350,000 to an estimated 600,000 people since the Gaza crisis, particularly impacting the Nablus and Hebron. Movement restrictions hinder farmers from selling produce, contributing to soaring food prices, escalating unemployment, and heightened poverty. The West Bank struggles for food accessibility is compounded by the stark contrast with Gaza, where residents face dire hunger. In response, the World Food Programme or WFP has expanded its assistance efforts, reaching the additional 100,000 vulnerable individuals in the West Bank with electronic voucher aid and providing one-time cash assistance to around 3,000 Gazan workers stranded in the region in January. The humanitarian situation remains precarious, with concerns of further deterioration looming in the months ahead. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza has reached a critical point as more than half of the population, including tens of thousands of pregnant women, new mothers and newborns, are crammed into the town of Rafah, originally designed for 250,000 people. Living conditions are abysmal, with a lack of basic necessities, and the people are confronted by the threats of hunger, disease, and death. Inside the Al-Hilal Al-Emirati Maternity Hospital, the situation is dire, with the facility overwhelmed and struggling to provide adequate care to newborns and mothers. The ongoing war has already claimed over 28,000 lives, predominantly women and children. Further attacks on Rafah could lead to even more devastating consequences, risking the lives of thousands through the violence, lack of access of essential resources, and hindrances of humanitarian aid delivery. Despite the challenges, UNFPA and partners have managed to deliver life-saving medicines and equipment, supporting over half of the births in Gaza since the conflict began on October. However, urgent safe access is needed to reach all pregnant women in Gaza. An immediate humanitarian ceasefire is imperative to expand the humanitarian response, ensure the functionality of the Gaza remaining hospitals, and protect the lives of pregnant women, new mothers, and newborns who currently hang by a thread. As the Year of the Dragon is about to commence, Chinese communities worldwide joyously celebrated the Chinese New Year festivities. Meanwhile, in Dubai, a groundbreaking advancement are underway with the imminent launch of the world's inaugural air taxi, promising to transform urban mobility. Let's have a look.
A spectacular drone show featuring a Chinese dragon formation illuminated the night sky above the landmark Burj Al Arab of Dubai, United Arab Emirates on Saturday, marking the arrival of the Year of Dragon. In celebrations of the Chinese New Year or the Spring Festival, nearly 2,000 LED-lit drones took to the sky, forming a 300-meter-long Chinese dragon around the landmark sail-shaped hotel. The stunning performance lasted for about 15 minutes, adding luster to the Chinese New Year celebrations in Dubai. Chinese dragon is the only mythical creature among the 12 Chinese zodiac animals. It represents a totem of the Chinese nations. Over the 4,600 Chinese travelers celebrated the Year of the Dragon on China's first domestically built large cruise ship at sea. The cruise, organized ahead of the Spring Festival, offers a 6-day voyage for families to reunite during this grand traditional festival. Outbound cruise tourism is thriving this year, with tickets for this popular route selling out in early January. Passengers boarding the ship were greeted by festive decorations like lanterns and dragon statue, while crew members extended warm festival greetings to all passengers. The ship's catering department offered festival-themed Chinese and Western dishes, incorporating ingredients symbolizing well-being and auspiciousness, including dumplings, a staple of Spring Festival meals. An outdoor screen was set up to broadcast the Spring Festival Gala, a significant cultural event. Additionally, various attractive cultural activities and art exhibitions were arranged for passengers of all ages, ensuring a festive and enjoyable voyage for all. A foreign collector changed her own perspective by collecting Chinese dragon antiques. The scholar said it is a symbol often misinterpreted by biased politicians. More explanation would help to avoid misunderstanding. This emperor's robe was worn by Emperor Qianglong during the Qing dynasty. One of its signature is the five-crowned dragon. Teresa Coleman started collecting Chinese antiques in the 70s. Textile is her favorite. Among her 3,000-piece collection, around 1/8 of items have dragon themes. Following her passions, she studied translated books and recorded every detail on the robe, including the bronze liberation cups for ritual ceremony, the axe representing power and justice, as well as plate of grain representing the emperor's responsibility to feed his people.
We hope you enjoy for today's episode of Your World. I'm Adrian Arikusumo. Thanks for watching and see you next week.